Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We've had a few technical difficulties here in our studio, so we're going to skip over some of the hemp news tonight. Basically, let's just say the federal bill to defund marijuana enforcement lost by 265 to 165, but it always was just a symbolic effort. The real effort we want is behind the states' rights to medical marijuana act that Barney Frank sponsored. And even as long as we have George Bush in the White House, even if the Congress passes it, it's not going to be put into effect. So it's a long-term project for 2009. We have an exciting show for you tonight. Reverend Lee Vaughn of the Church of Cognitive Therapy is here. Tim Pate is here, and we'll be singing some songs. How are you doing over there, Tim?
I am doing fine.
Good, good. We've got some more news about our Hempstock Festival and other things. It's our first show in 4 weeks, so there's a lot of different things happening. But we'll buy a few seconds' time to shuffle around here by showing you these dancing cannabis leaves. Enjoy.
Force.
All right, welcome back to the show. So, Tim, you have a song you're going to entertain us with this evening, don't you?
Why not?
I think you're really good at that sort of thing, so why don't we let you have a shot at it?
All right, I will. This one is Let's All Be Farmers. It's sometimes been called the Hemp National Anthem. I play it every year at the Seattle Hemp Fest, which is a show that's coming up here very, very soon. And
the Portland Hempstock Festival.
Portland Hempstock Festival. We'd love to have that happen as well here real soon. So anyway, this is
Talk about that in a minute.
a song about why we do all this. Well, let's all be farmers and save the trees. 1 acre of hemp will save a forest, please. Let's all be farmers and get filthy rich. Instead, we're wrecking the planet, and it's beginning to bitch. Oh, let's all be farmers. The fear must stop. This is the new, the old, the original. Yeah, $1 billion crop. Let's all be farmers and save the seas. Oil without crude. Yeah, here hemp oil's clean. Let's all be farmers. The index on the rain. I can grow my own oil, thank you. And without the pain, let's all be farmers. Now that you know, well, who am I to tell you what you should grow? Let's all be farmers. Let's all be farmers. Let's all be farmers. And as we watch that last tree fall, what will our cry be? But goddamn, we could have had them all. Let's all be farmers. Let's all be farmers. Let's all be farmers. Let's all be farmers.
All right, Tim, thank you. Thank you. Oh, there's Reverend Levon. Yeah, very good. Good to see you. I guess we do have a caller. Let's see what the caller has to say. Hello, caller. You're on the show. Uh-oh. I don't know why. It's all wrapped around my leg. Okay, can you hear me now? Hello, caller. Are you there? We're trying to reach you, caller.
Hello, Paul.
Yes, you.
Hey, how you doing, Paul?
Real well. How are you?
Oh, good, good. We've met several times and everything, but I have a question I need to ask you about. A couple of weeks ago, I've been working down in Hermiston, and I ride a motorcycle, and a car pulled out in front of me, and I hit the motorcycle. When I woke up in trauma unit 5.5 hours later, there's this cop standing over me, telling me that they found marijuana in my blood system. So I proceeded to hand him my medical marijuana card, which actually kind of irritated the crap out of him. And at that point, he walked over to my boss, who had been standing there with me the whole time, looking out over me, I guess. And he went up to my boss and told him, "Did you know your employee has a medical marijuana card?" And I was
Now,
just
this is
wondering,
the police.
Yeah, that isn't the police, yeah. Yeah, the cops went right up to him and told my boss that, trying to get me
And what
fired.
did your boss say and do?
My foreman, who he is not actually my employer, he's my foreman on the job down there, proceeded to tell him, yeah, I had heard he had one, I've just never seen it before, which irritated him even more, and the cop walked off, and I've never seen him since.
Well, so they left you alone and you're still employed and no problems?
Yes, at this point, but
How long ago was this?
This was on Friday the 13th.
Friday, a week ago?
No, the 13th would be 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago. Well, I'd say you're probably pretty safe if your employer... Do you have union representation?
I am part of the union, but
Yeah.
they don't represent you in anything like that.
Well, you know, lately they've actually come in and started lobbying in the Oregon legislature against Associated Industries of Oregon, who've been trying to restrict our rights. They had a bill they wanted to be able to fire us, but they lost, and we were able to kill that bad bill in the Oregon legislature.
Oh yeah, they've been trying to
And
pass
the
that
real
for about
key
6
and
months.
kicker was when all the public employee unions came in and fought against it.
Really?
I mean, up to then, it wasn't looking that good. It was looking like it might pass. But when once we made allies with the labor unions and the public employees unions, they backed off and went away.
Well, I was just wondering if that was, that isn't something that a police officer has any right to be going up and telling my employer that.
Yeah, he shouldn't even know about it. What's he doing running your drug testing? Is this happened from a drug test at your company?
No, like I said, I woke up in the trauma unit. I'm sure that the guy who pulled out in front of me that I ran
I couldn't
over,
hear you at first.
Yeah, I got in a motorcycle wreck. A guy pulled out in front of me and I hit him. And I'm sure they didn't drug test him, but they drug test me while I was unconscious laying in the hospital.
Right. So have you had any kind of implications on your driving record given that?
No, I have not. Not at this point I haven't. No.
Good. All right. Well, hopefully you won't. And keep us appraised. I'm glad to hear you have been fired.
No, not yet. I was wondering if I actually had grounds to sue that. Well,
not at this point, because if something happens and you lose your job, you might. I can't really answer that. I'm not an attorney. Right. But I can say that you might. But if you haven't been fired and you haven't been charged, then I would at this point count yourself lucky, and maybe they'll just go away and leave you alone.
Okay. All right.
If things change, though, give us a call on a future show, and we'd like to hear what happens.
All right, Paul. Thanks a lot, man.
All right. Thanks for calling. Good to talk to you again.
Bye-bye.
Bye. If you're out there and you have a question for us tonight, It is the 27th of July, 2007, as we tape this show. Friday night, 27th of July. If you want to give us a call, call us at that number there on your screen. It's 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. And so we have a couple of guests here. One is Reverend Levon. How are you doing, Levon?
Good.
You've been doing some things in Idaho we're going to talk about in just a second, but let's say hello again to Tim. How's it going over there, Tim?
I'm doing very well,
I see you've got our desk here plastered with these nifty posters.
We do. We have.
They're like
Hemp Fest is coming.
Hemp Fest. The Hemp Fest is coming.
Yes,
and that's the
Hemp Fest is
Seattle
coming.
Hemp Fest. We are still working on our
Yep.
Portland Hemp Stock Festival, and in fact, just today, the American Civil Liberties Union Foundation of Oregon wrote a letter to the city attorney's office saying that if Portland Parks and Recreation doesn't enter into negotiations to issue our permit next week, then the ACLU is going to sue them for damages and attorney fees.
Good.
Starting, I think it's the 6th is the drop-dead date for them.
Good.
The 6th of August. Doesn't give us a lot of time to prepare for the 8th and 9th of September, but we'll see what we can do in such a short period of time. We had some acts lined up. They're still lined up.
Yep. While we were down for 3 weeks, I had the privilege of putting on the Sand in the City.
Right.
Hired all the bands and managed the stage and was the MC for the weekend down in Pioneer Square. Years ago, when Jerry Garcia got sick, I was going to open for him that weekend, and he got sick 8 days before the event, and we were able to put on the Life After Dead show in 8 days planning time. So, if we can get an okay from the city, if we can get a location from
That's the thing, a location. How can
then
we say
we're
where
able
we
to do
have, or
something.
most importantly, have our vendors have a place to set up their booths if we don't have a location. So we're hoping that, the ACLU has been a lot of help to the drug reform policy movement, and they've come out here and said plainly the city doesn't have a leg to stand on.
Sure.
They're denying us a permit based on an accusation without any evidence whatsoever.
That's right.
They claim that there was widespread marijuana and widespread alcohol use.
Actually, this time when
we
go to
know there
court-
wasn't.
Yeah, when we go to court this time, I'm going to be there. I was hung up over in Idaho with problems
With the city council thing.
because I was in charge of security last year, and I will testify to the fact that when I talked to the police officers, I told them exactly what I wanted them to do, and that was pretty much secure the outside perimeter, because anything that's outside of our festival, we can't really,
Sure, exactly.
we can't help that things happen.
Right. Can
So-
you imagine that there's alcohol use down in Waterfront Park on Portland on the weekend? Can you imagine
So
that?
yeah, I'll go there personally to testify.
One of the quotes
Against
they had in here that I really liked is Mr. Warrington, who's in charge of security for the parks, stated the basis for denying the permit was City Code 20.08.020, specifically widespread unlawful use of marijuana and consumption of alcohol at the 2006 hemp stock. This attorney, who's Heather Van Meter, and she was joined by another fellow by the name of Paul Clayton, or Adam Clayton, actually. The attorney, Heather Van Meter, wrote, respectfully, if widespread unlawful use of marijuana or consumption of alcohol for festival attendees can form the basis for future denials of park permits, the Brewers Festival, which is going on now, the Jazz Festival, the Blues Festival, and the Rose Festival should probably all have been denied permits long ago, just to name a few. So the ACLU is doing a good job for us here. They're also helping us quash some subpoenas that were issued, and so that's moving forward as well.
Well, I didn't want it to come to that point, but I'm glad that they've acknowledged that we put in some effort. There are a lot of people waiting for this particular date to come and have a show.
That's right.
We've got contracts pending with important people that we
We've got
feel would
contracts that
bring in a
not
lot
just
of
pending, but
crowds.
happen.
Yeah.
And others pending.
Yeah, so we put in a year's worth of effort to plan on this, and we hope to have a show. If we don't have a show, we want cause.
Yeah, and damages.
And damages.
So
Because they've damaged us by denying our permit.
They certainly have, and just the continuity of the festival would be at stake here. So we have that moving forward. Anyway, if you have a call or question for us tonight, give us a call at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. 288-4448. A number of hemp goodies out here tonight. My new favorite, hemp milk. This is chocolate.
This is awesome.
It's too rich, too many calories, but it's good. It's better for you than soy milk. See, we have this Paradise hemp. We have this purple, blue, couple rolls of that. We also have rainbow ball of hemp twine that some people in our control room will be twining with here soon. Here's something they make with hemp twine. This was donated by ICO, and we are going to be auctioning this off on eBay as a little, it's a pretty nifty little thing. Thanks, ICO. We have another caller, though. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hi. I wrote to the Office of the Secretary of State regarding the crime fighting bill.
Yeah, the Kevin Mannix bill.
Yeah, it's a piece of you-know-what.
Yeah, it is. It's ridiculous.
What I'm concerned is it says it replaces the Medical Marijuana Act, and they've changed the wording now.
They've changed the wording, and now what's happened, there's a process.
We've got 10 days now. I'm one of the petitioners now, so there's about 15 of us on that.
Yeah,
so we've got 10 days
10 days to file a challenge and petition the state Supreme Court.
And so do we write the same people?
No, you write the state Supreme Court.
You write
the Oregon State Supreme Court now is the next venue. And there's 10 days for anyone who wrote a letter about the ballot title to the Secretary of State now has standing to go to the state Supreme Court and challenge the certified ballot title that was issued by the Oregon Secretary of State. What we're talking about is this initiative out there. It's I-104, and I-104 would basically overturn Oregon's medical marijuana law and replace it with a prescription drug program where anyone who has a medical permit would have to use Marinol. Now, Marinol is very, very expensive, and this would be state-funded, probably cost thousands and thousands of dollars per patient.
Oh, yeah, count on it.
Not to mention very psychoactive with none of the CBN.
It doesn't have the CBN, doesn't have the CBD, would have no effect on patients with pain, which is the majority of patients. Huh?
Could cause seizures.
Yeah, it would have no effect on patients with seizures, spasms, glaucoma, pain.
It can cause seizures.
Yeah, it could, yeah.
Not a good idea.
No, it's bad.
It's not good for people with MS. Like you say, it doesn't have the CBCs. So I'm really against this. And it doesn't make it clear at all what the replacement pharmaceutical is.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it addresses more than one issue, which is clearly not allowed under Oregon's initiative law.
But the Bill Bradbury says it meets all the qualifications, which, of course, it doesn't.
Bill Bradbury's job and his office's job is to do what they've done. First, they issue a draft ballot title, they take comments, then they issue a certified ballot title. Anyone, such as yourself or our organization or several others of us out there that wrote a letter to the Secretary of State's office complaining about Initiative 104, this Mannix crime-fighting bill, now has standing to challenge the certified ballot title directly before the Oregon Supreme Court. So now we need to write the Oregon Supreme Court and tell them that we are challenging the ballot title that was certified by the Secretary of State on Initiative 104.
Okay.
And if you put that into a legal format, like you versus Mannix, then that'll help.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for the call. It's a good question. Good issue.
I find particularly offensive about that initiative is that he now has associated me with criminals.
Yeah.
When I have not done a single criminal act.
Well, the whole fact of throwing us in jail and fingerprinting and mugshotting, that throws us in with criminals too.
I mean, just am
the whole criminal justice system and the criminalization of marijuana should have been unconstitutional. And it's only through hook and crook that they've managed to prohibit it to the degree they have. But
there's no merit or scientific evidence to back up their.
No, their reasons for criminalizing it were racist, primarily racist, and based on lies. They said it caused people to go crazy and kill their family and friends. Well, I've never had a marijuana user I know go crazy and kill either their family or friends.
That wasn't already crazy.
Yeah, well, I've never had them do that anyway. Even if they were already crazy. They've been crazy, but they haven't killed their family and friends. But they were crazy before, probably, you're right. But that was the reefer madness myth that they fed to the public back in the 30s that allowed them to prohibit marijuana, and it's something that we continue to fight today. They call it the devil's weed, yet it's the plant here on this planet that produces more fiber, more protein, more oil, more twine and fiber for building materials and nifty little products like this, more oil for soap. Here's Dr. Bronner's soap, or this nifty hemp milk. It's all good stuff. Hey, caller, we have a caller. Hello, caller, you're on the show.
Yeah, thank all you guys for doing what you're doing. And thank you for all this great information we're receiving so early in the show here. This is
Thank
great.
you. We keep trying.
Oh, you do the best. But I wanted to bring up something that troubles me, a couple of things.
Okay.
I called OMMP to find out if, since my son has turned 18, if we have to have the doors locked anymore. And I have a daughter that's 20, almost 23, that's going to be coming to live with us. And they told me that I would have to. This was a lady I had never spoke to. You and I have a mutual friend up there, but he was out to lunch, and so I should have probably called him. Could probably know right off the top of his head, but I asked that question, and they said they couldn't answer that question. Now, who in the heck could? And so she says, well, you would have to get representation, like from a lawyer.
Oh, go ask a lawyer.
Yeah, go pay for a lawyer.
The lawyer probably knows nothing about it. Most lawyers know very little. Even some of the ones that claim they know a lot about it are often wrong, from my experience.
Well, would you know the answer to that?
No, you don't have to have it locked up. You don't have to.
I didn't think so, and we always had it locked up when they were. I
recommend keeping it locked up so you don't get robbed by anybody else.
Well,
but
not only that, but I was always concerned about when they were a little younger, because we started at the beginning. It just not taking it or anything, because my kids really turned out, luckily, and knock on wood, turned out good, but. About getting into any kind of alcohol or drugs. But the thing is that I was more afraid of the high-intensity discharge lamps, more than anything. Because you've got mercury in there, and that thing explodes all over your kid's head. It's got a
if one of those bulbs breaks open, they put out very intense ultraviolet radiation that will sunburn you in about 10 seconds or less. Maybe
and that
5.
mercury's going to splatter everywhere.
Yeah.
So the other thing is Don still working for you?
No. Don kind of went off on his own and did his own thing a few weeks.
Well,
actually, a few months
I'm kind of glad I see his non-presence, because you guys finally got hip and learned all about this guy. So I'm pleased you got rid of him. Thank you.
Okay. Well, you're welcome. Thank you. Yeah, we had some problems, so we just have to part ways there, and so it goes.
So it goes.
Yep.
Happens in politics every day.
Moving on.
The message is still important, and we have important messages all the time. I have a little piece of news too. I got something from this last week. If you don't mind. The Rhode Island Patient Advocacy Coalition is back in Rhode Island. They just, they got their licenses not too long ago. They've been holding, they actually held their first medical marijuana community meeting, and they've been holding them twice monthly throughout 2007, but they always felt they could provide a more direct service than just hosting a discussion. So now what they've done is split their meetings into cardholder meetings and a community meeting. And this last month they had their first cardholder-only meeting where they were able to...
Madeline Martinez.
Exactly, that's where I got the message. I wanted to congratulate Oregon Normal for passing on their model to Rhode Island and saying, hey, this is how you do it. And now they've had a successful meeting. Yeah. And I just thought that was important news, that what's going on here, what we're pioneering in this state, in this area, really is moving on.
Yeah, that's true. Other states are starting to copy us. Yeah. Hawaii's law was initially based solely on Oregon's law. We've changed our law, but Hawaii's is still our old law, which isn't as good as our new law.
That's true. Yeah. I really think we have the best one in the nation.
Yeah, well, we do have the most
I agree.
highest limit, according to to the amount of cannabis can be possessed by a patient, which is
well,
good.
I think it's the patient friendliness of this, the lack of commercialism to a great degree that really has helped a lot more patients get more medicine.
Yeah.
And that to me is the bottom line. The rest of it is just poo-ha. But I think it's important for people to have their medicine.
And safe access to medicine.
And
It's something that we really need to work
safe
on.
access to medicine.
That's one of the things Oregon Normal's doing through those meetings. We have another phone call, though. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
Pretty well. How are you?
Thanks for your work. I was talking with a friend of mine about a situation south of Eugene. Did that law pass that corporate America can fire somebody
No.
if they have a card?
No, it did not pass. Fortunately, Senate Bill 485, we got opposition from labor unions and public employee unions, in addition to all of our organizations, went in to lobby against it, and so it did not pass. And so you can't be fired just for having a medical marijuana permit.
Well, there's a hospital south of Eugene that used that against a lady that had cancer and said that they'd fire her if she got the card and used it.
Well, there isn't anything preventing employers from enforcing their own rules, except the courts. You can go into the courts, and if you're working in a unionized situation, you might be able to get union support to fight for your job as well.
Retirement down there, let alone a union, but they used it against her. I mean, she's got bone cancer, been there 25 years.
That's cruel. That is very cruel for them to say, this lady with bone cancer.
And she's only going to use it at home.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's crazy. I would... what hospital was that?
Misinformed. One that's south of Eugene. We don't want to be specific here.
Okay. Well, that's a shame. I'm sorry to hear about those kind of things. But
I'm sorry to hear there's that kind of intimidation going on from corporate America.
Should be legal.
Yeah, well,
we're working on that. We'll have more on that in the
Iron
future.
Heel, and it's full of them doing stuff like that. Okie doke. Thank you much.
Thank you. Thanks for calling. Hey, we have a film clip we're going to roll now, and we'll be back in just a second to talk about it. So hang loose and enjoy this, and see you in a second. Ta-da!
January 1981, West Los Angeles, California. Mere days before the presidential inauguration, Jack and a small encampment of followers are campaigning for California hemp and marijuana initiatives.
Along comes Ronald Reagan.
President-elect Reagan's motorcade pulls up to the federal building. He's scheduled for a pre-inaugural haircut. According to eyewitnesses, the great communicator questions the building manager.
By the way, he says, what are the Canadians protesting about out there? And he thought that the marijuana flag we were flying out there was the maple leaf. And the guy that's the manager of the office of the building, he says, well, they're not Canadians, those are marijuana protesters. And Reagan says, well, isn't there something you can do about that? Well, we've taken them to court and they've won. Well, I'll be on duty in 5 days. I'll see what I can do for you.
What Reagan does is have Jack and 5 others arrested for violating an arcane wartime sabotage act. The others pay a $5 fine and get probation. Jack fights. He refuses to pay the fine and loses. His appeal is unsuccessful. the United States Supreme Court refuses to hear the case. So on July 14th, 1983, Jack reports to federal prison at Terminal Island, California.
There was a lot of bank robbers in federal prison in 1983. And what are you in here for? I was registering voters after dark on federal property. They put you in jail.
Running for the border, spinning to the light, frozen night of wonder, and a holy terror inside. I smell the river.
Jack's incarceration would have been insignificant, except for the fact that he finally had the time and solitude to begin writing another book.
There was no radio, there was no television, no movies, no nothing to distract me. A couple guys would sing gospel songs a cappella, but that was about it.
I knew that Jack Herrera's book was going to become an underground classic. I knew it right away from the first time I saw the first edition.
People opened that book and said, you can make food out of hemp seed oil, you can burn it in a lamp, you can make rope, you can make parachute cordage and tie your shoes, and the Constitution was really printed on hemp paper. I mean, people love that.
In 1985, Jack published The Emperor Wears No Clothes. Since then, the book has gone on to become an underground phenomenon, selling more than 600,000 copies worldwide, and is now in its 11th edition.
And now it's actually in its 13th edition since that film was made. And I have to remind our long-term viewers and tell our new viewers, the very first edition of that book was written in my home right here in River City in Portland, Oregon in 1985. When I'm in the dedication, I just always have to throw that in there. I'm proud of that. You popped my balloon, man. We have a caller, though, who's been standing by very patiently. Hello, caller.
Would this be me?
That's you. Are on.
How are you doing today, sir?
Very good. Doing great. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Long day at work.
I can
A couple quick questions for you. Hope you can answer them for me.
Okay.
I guess in 1995, you guys had a foundation called CBC that was located about 1 block south of the Portland PD, downtown Portland. Might ring the bell or not. I was trying to gather some information about it. My grandma's name was Charles Daly.
Uh-huh.
If that rings a bell.
There was a club in 333 Southwest Park Avenue.
That would be it.
Yeah, and it was on the 3rd floor, and it was started by Chris Iverson.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the Alternative Health Center, the AHC.
I had card number 00 to that club.
I think I had one of the. I know I had an early card to it as well.
Yeah, it started couple
and so
years
they
back.
were in
It was
business
the first
up
one.
for about a year and a half.
Yeah, before they got
the
shut down.
Portland police came in and arrested them.
Right.
And Diane Dinsmore was the primary face behind that arrest, and she's still an activist out in Beaverton.
Is she really? I was wondering if you guys branched off, or if that's still going on.
That is not going on per se. There is a movement. There's an initiative that was just filed by the same people who brought us ballot measure 4 years ago to set up dispensaries in the state. They're trying it again. And so, but currently, there are no open dispensaries in that model here in Oregon. There have been some that have tried.
Yeah.
Some even recently. And they are not currently doing that. I think one fellow had the DEA come in and bother him. And, they just closed down some of the biggest ones in California last week. I think they went after 10 different ones in about 5 different counties.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a shame to see them do that. It's a dying gasp of a dinosaur, kind of, I like to think.
Yeah.
And they're using an interesting tactic on that, too. They were going after the landlords and the landowners rather than the clubs themselves.
Well, they were going after clubs, too.
I mean, I know
they
that.
They were prosecuting clubs, but then they were also going to the landlords saying,
we'll prosecute you as well.
We're going to not prosecute them, but seize their property.
Right, exactly. That's
the landlords don't want that to happen.
Of course not.
But that's only because they were selling marijuana. you know, and that gave them the in to try to use the federal law against the landlords as well.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for your information. You guys have a good day.
You too. You're welcome. A few good points in there. If you have a question, that film a moment ago was The Emperor of Hemp about Jack Herer, who wrote that book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, about industrial hemp, which makes all these different things, including these certified organic healthy hemp tortillas. They're gluten and wheat free and really good for you with omega-3 and 6 and 9. They're vegan, no trans fat. If you want tortillas, healthy hemp tortillas are good ones.
Can't wait to try that.
Yeah, they're pretty tasty.
This is my favorite.
A lot of the different foods. Yeah, the chocolate milk, that's a little too high in calories for me. I got to cut back on that sweet stuff.
You know, the 18 years I've been involved in the hemp movement, I'm glad to see that the food quality has improved.
It's gotten continually
it's
better.
improved.
Less granola.
Yeah.
Yep, healthy
delicious
granola's
stuff
out there. There's a lot of different things. As we see over time, more and more of it comes out. I'm glad to... this one's really good. They finally have a hemp protein powder, since hemp protein is the most nutritious plant protein for people. They say soybeans have a little bit more protein, but hemp protein is more digestible than soy protein. So you get more nutrition from hemp protein than you could ever get from soy. So there.
Why does that not surprise me?
Yeah, we also have another form of hemp here.
There's some inspiration kind there.
The inspirational hemp from, this is Trainwreck. Now,
is that for jazz
musicians? It could be for jazz musicians. Let's see, where is that camera?
Caboose.
There it is. Well, there. It's Trainwreck. This is the strain that won best flavor and best aroma for our THCF medical gardens, which you'll see some pictures of as Tim's playing in closing here. Won best taste and best aroma. And it does smell really good. I'm sure you guys can smell it over there now. You guys in television land, have you got your smell-o-vision units hooked up yet? Hook up those smell-o-vision units and we'll pump some of this over to you.
Put your nose close to the television.
Right. and imagine. Click your heels together 3 times and say, there's no place like home. That'll help too.
And there's nothing like good medicine.
That's true. And so the Seattle Hemp Fest is coming up at Myrtle Edwards Park on the 18th and 19th. That's just 3 short weekends away.
It is.
Another huge event. They always have, over the last few years, over 200,000 people a year.
Yeah, we're going to all be there.
Now, there's something else that's going on August 10th in Austin, Texas. Willie Nelson is going to do the Freedom Fest. So go to freedomfest.org. You'll be able to see Willie Nelson, who we all got to spend a little bit of time with here when he was traveling through the Northwest, and we hope to be there in Austin, too, to help celebrate the Freedom Fest.
Yeah,
now, if they can bring freedom to Austin, Texas, they can bring it to anywhere. That's true. The land of the Bush regime. I look forward to going down there, and hopefully, Willie's sacred. They got to leave him alone. Everybody loves Willie.
Except the IRS.
Yeah, well, they do now. They paid him off. That was only because he had bad accountants or something. Rip off.
That's a bummer.
I think he's old enough.
We do have a caller. Hello, caller. You are on our show.
Good evening. I have a question regarding strains and the different ways that different strains treat different conditions. And I was questioning if there was documentation that's being compiled. I know that Oregon Health Sciences University has a lot of the specialists that I see, and they're very interested in this information. In fact, they've been so receptive, it's almost mind-boggling because it's contrary to a lot of the other doctors that I see.
Sure.
But I know that there needs to be some kind of documentation, and they're anxious to get their hands on this.
Right.
And is there anything going on to get this compiled so that we can provide it to the medical community?
Yes. There have been annual rankings of cannabis done at the Oregon Medical Cannabis Awards, which is an event put on by Oregon Normal, sponsored by the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation and this show, that people turn in various strains, and people who have various conditions say which ones work better for them. But
I know that through my own experience, that's how I've chosen the strains that I use, and because you know what works for your condition.
Exactly.
And my second question then would be, because we learn through experience as patients, how if I had a tray full of NYCDs that I would like to trade for something like a sativa that would work better for nausea or for making a person have an appetite. Are there those kind of exchange programs going on in the state? Because it's
once again, I'm going to point you to Oregon Normal has a once a month on the second Saturday of each month. So it's already happened this month, but the second Saturday of August is coming around here pretty soon, and it's at the corner of Southeast 49th and Hawthorne in the Mount Tabor Theater and Pub. And so they close that down to card holders only. You want to they open up the doors, I think, at 11:30. They close the doors at noon, so you have to be there before noon. And then it's open just to patients for a couple of hours in there. And patients who don't have cuttings can get cuttings and baby plants. If there's excess medicine, that's given away. I've seen medicinal chocolate given away, medicinal foods. Good time had by one and all. Tim Pate over here, along with other people, play guitar. We have Tim and the Trichromes, I think, are out there playing for a while at the Oregon Normal meetings.
It sounds like a safe exchange then. It's something that's monitored appropriately because you're verifying cards.
It is monitored and it's controlled, and only people who have cards are allowed in, and you have to have a Oregon permit.
Patient.
Caregivers can come in too.
Excellent, because a lot of us are dependent on caregivers just for getting around periods. So
exactly. So that's on. It's for Oregon card holders only. It's on the second Saturday of each month. What is it this next month? Gee, I'm going to have to pull up my calendar.
It's probably going to be on the 10th or the 11th.
Excellent.
You're probably right. The 11th.
To hear this because
Saturday the 11th.
We're out there as patients, kind of floating on our own, and I flipped across the TV, and there you were.
Here we are.
Marijuana leaf. Holy moly, what's going on here? And then I get to hear the information, and when I'm sitting on something that works specifically for a certain condition, I would like to share it. And as a gardener, I know everybody, you get that, it's a real good, warm, fuzzy feeling when you get to share your babies.
That's true. That's true. It's always good to see it out there helping other people, too.
Exactly. And that would be the objective.
You know, one thing about the strains, too, is the same strain can have different effects depending on how long it's flowered and the conditions it's grown under. You could have something that's been flowering for 6 weeks. It'll have a different effect and a different flavor if it's been flowering for 10 or 12 weeks. And the trichromes will look different as well.
Exactly. You know, if I hand a cutting off, I always say, now listen to me. If at this many weeks, this is what you do. And if they don't follow, they say, hey, it didn't do like yours did. Yeah. Invariably, it's just following the recipe.
Yeah, and for pain and spasms, seizures, glaucoma, it's not really the THC that's the useful medicine. It's the cannabidiol, or the CBD in the cannabis, actually, CBD, that is the useful compound. And so that can actually be obtained from the leaf as well. So patients who have pain, spasms, seizures, glaucoma should try to eat something orally from the leaf. And they won't have the psychoactive effect they would if they ingested the flowers, but they might get the relief they need without that
and not everybody's after the psychoactive effect. Not that isn't everybody's goal with their condition. Some people actually don't.
Some people don't want that at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's the option for them. They can just take something made from the leaf.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate the information, and it's exciting to hear that everybody's uniting and they're doing something to do an exchange like this, because it's imperative that we have this available as patients.
Oregon Normal has been doing this now for about 2 years, and Tim had just noted how Rhode Island's state normal organization, where they have a new medical marijuana law, started imitating Oregon's program.
We're a little cookie cutter now, except for ours is in the shape of a pot leaf.
Yeah. Levon, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, California, the medical marijuana patients in California, I'm not sure exactly who did the studies, but you can Google it on our website, www.coctministry.com, under either medical marijuana under the links or cannabis cultivation. It talks about different strains that they did studies with and to different ailments and stuff like that. There's a bunch of different studies that have actually been done over the last 20 years, and the entire time that the medical cannabis has been around in California. You can look it up online to probably find the best results. But we do need an active registry that patients can go in and say, hey, the strain I think works for me for this. We could probably get some grant money to study that.
Yeah, so there we go. It comes down to the dime again.
Yeah. If you want to go to sleep, smoke some indica. If you want to wake up, be happy, and pretty much have a productive day, sativa works.
Yeah, but what do you do when you get the blends?
Life's
Thank you for your time, guys.
Well,
I really appreciate your show.
Thanks for watching.
You.
Bye.
Thanks for calling in as well. There's your website there, Reverend Levon Lyon, the Church of Cognitive Therapy, only they didn't spell it right there. They made it into one word.
That's okay.
It's all right. You get
That's
the
a long
idea.
word, cognitive therapy.
Cognitive therapy is a long word. It's basically, the way we view it is enlightenment is a personal thing, and all of us need to find our own form of cognitive therapy to achieve our own personal enlightenment. And that's kind of what we're here to do, is help educate people and to help them find their form of spirituality.
I would say amen, and a women too.
Amen. And when I always say, be careful when you say amen, because that usually concludes the sermon. So if we're not done yet,
yeah, we're not quite ready.
We may not want to conclude.
I want to remind our viewers out there that if you or a loved one has a condition that you think might qualify for medical marijuana, then we have physicians all across the western United States that can help you obtain a permit for medical marijuana. If you have AIDS, cancer, chronic pain is the largest single category, and chronic pain touches a lot of different areas. Chronic and severe nausea, glaucoma, IBS or irritable bowel syndrome, GERD, Crohn's disease, which is a lot like IBS, or a seizure disorder like epilepsy, or a spastic disorder like multiple sclerosis, or other neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's or any of those, then we have physicians across the western United States who will be happy to help you get a permit. So call us. In Portland area, we have a physician referral line, and the referral number in Portland is 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. We have an office up in the Seattle area, in Bellevue, just outside of Seattle. And the office number for Seattle is 206-878-1701. That's 206-878-1701. We have an office in Denver, and we're about to start seeing patients in Durango. We also see them in Spokane up in Washington. And we have an office now in Bend, or just outside of Bend. But in Denver, our Denver number is 303-403-9996. That's 303-403-9996. There are doctors all across the state of California. We have doctors in Hawaii, Washington, Oregon, Colorado, and Nevada. In any of the other states, we have a toll-free number you can call. It's 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. So if you or someone you know or love has one of these terrible conditions, then they qualify for medical marijuana, and our doctors will be happy to help them get a state permit so they can legally possess, use, and grow medical marijuana. Isn't that right, Levon?
Correct.
Now, you have something you want to talk about there?
The
World Reggae Fest
involved with the Northwest World Reggae Fest this year, 2007. This is kind of deal here is the 3rd annual Northwest Reggae Festival will be held the weekend of August 10th, 11th, and 12th. This year's festival will be moved to a new site 20 miles north of Eugene, 5 miles north of Marcola, Oregon. This venue has basically been used in the past for larger venues. It's in the old Cascade foothills. There will be camping, drinking water, no dogs. For more information, you can go to www.northwestworldreggae.com for more information about bands and camping. There's also 503-288-9009. Also, I'm looking for a few more people to help out with security, volunteer on that, and you can reach me at my number at 971-207-1881.
All right. Well, thanks, Levi. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Yes, hello.
Hey.
I have a question about the Oregon State Board of Nursing.
Okay.
I heard that there was a case pending against a nurse that had an Oregon marijuana card, and they were trying to take his license away. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, there are actually a couple of those that are out there, and they haven't been adjudicated yet. They claim that this fellow had been using cannabis while at work. I don't think that's true. We'll just have to see. I think that the law specifically states that these state boards can't discipline doctors or nurses who recommend or use medical marijuana themselves. And so that is the case, and the fellow who's undergoing that is fighting it.
Okay, so that case is still pending?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So my husband is definitely a candidate for an Oregon marijuana card, but he is an RN and wants to keep working. So I guess you'd recommend maybe to see how this one turns out?
Well, the real issue is not to use cannabis on the job or before the job.
Well, yeah,
and
of course.
So,
yeah.
If he's subject to urinalysis testing, then, he probably should consider how to address that.
My other question was, do you know in this case how they found out that he had a card?
I think there was a complaint from a patient who said that this person had been using marijuana.
So, okay, so they didn't come into his home or anything like that?
No. It was a patient-based complaint.
I see. Okay, so, that was my question. If
My
they don't
understanding
find
is it
out
was a spouse of a patient, actually. It wasn't the patient themselves, but the spouse of a patient who accompanied the patient and complained about the nurse.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Apparently they could smell it or something like that.
Okay. So, was apparently not being prudent.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds
that was
like,
part of
right.
it.
Exactly. Okay, well, that was my question. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks
Take care.
for that question. Good
Bye.
point, sir. Well, we are down and out of time, and Tim's over here ready to sing in. What?
Oh, I said the same deal would be for alcohol or anything else.
Yeah, you don't want to get drunk while you're on the job. You don't want to use cannabis while you're on the job. That's just not appropriate.
Unless your job requires it.
Nurse, yeah. Yeah, I don't know many jobs to do, except ours, and so it goes. Well, I want to thank you guys for watching. We're going to let Tim Pate carry us out on a melodious, harmonious, magical song. I know. It wasn't that easy either. All right, enjoy. Tune in next week and help us restore hemp.
That's right.
Restore hemp.